Okay, I'm going to call to order this Community Safety Standing Committee meeting. First, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the traditional unceded territory of the Sanawas First Nation. First item is the adoption of the agenda. I'll just move that the December 9th, 2025 Community Safety Standing Committee meeting agenda be adopted as presented. Do we have a seconder? Second by Councillor Savage. Any discussion, additions, deletions? Okay, hearing nothing, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Takes us on to correspondence. So we have a number of items listed under item 3 for correspondence. Noted as a list of safety complaints received since May 25th. Are there any questions from council through to staff? Nope. Okay, moving right along. We're going to be quick. All right, and public input. We have nobody in the gallery except for our RCMP this morning, unless you want to do some public input. Nope. Okay. You'll have plenty of input later. All right. So next is just approval of the. Oh, sorry. Did we have anybody remotely registered? I know it's remotely impossible, but yeah. Okay. Moving on to approval of minutes. I'll move that the minutes for the May 25th, or sorry, the May 2025 Community Standing Safety Committee be approved by council in the September 2025 and revised in 2020. Sorry, 2020, November 2025, and the revised May 2025 minutes are attached for information. So I guess it's just Councillor Savage seconding. And again, this is just for information. Yeah. All right, I'll just call the question that we're receiving it for information. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. All right, that takes us on to departmental updates. So we have the RCMP here this morning. So we have Superintendent Rochette of the Nanaimo Detachment. If you want to go to the podium and yeah, you know the routine. And welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council members. I just want to take just a minute to introduce, we have a new inspector. He started with us in July, so he's been with us for a few months now, but it's Inspector Donovan Tate. So that's what, 30 years of service in the RCMP, work in all different branches. His latest post was overseas. He did 4 years as the liaison officer in Turkey. So that's the type of experience he's bringing with him to the detachment, which is great for us. The second inspector, Inspector Gillespie, was not available this morning, and unfortunately for us, good for him, he just got promoted, so he'll be leaving us anyway in a couple months. He's going to be the next officer in charge of West Shore Detachment. So that's the senior management team as of right now for the Nanaimo Detachment. We started the process already of trying to find a new inspector to replace Inspector Gillespie. We'll see where he leads, and when someone's announced and arrives to Nanaimo, I'll make sure to bring him to the next meeting and introduce you to council members and mayor. So we're just gonna go over the stats. I don't know if you have a copy in front of you. So for the first part of it is the Lantzville traffic stats. So, and I know it's always a concern for local citizens is speeding is always a concern about driving complaints in general. So we've seen, and the stats that we have in front of me and you have in front of yourself is basically from January 1st to November 30th. So it covers 1 month shy of a full year. So it gives you a really good idea of the type of stats we get in a year for the District of Lantzville. So for collisions fatal, touch wood, we haven't had any so far this year. Non-fatal injuries, which is slight reduction from the previous year with 8 to 7. Collision property damage, so those are the stereotypical fender bender type of collisions. So we've seen an increase of 29% from 24 to 31. And what I like to always compare is the 5-year average. So 31 is above, 29% above the 5-year average of 24. So that's an interesting aspect. Violation tickets, we've gone up as well. So in correlation with the fact, unfortunately, there's been an increase in collisions. And we've received several complaints about traffic issues in Lantzville. We've increased our presence, which led to an increase in violation tickets. So we've served 24% more violation tickets. And those are just actual tickets with fines, not warnings. And IRP in 215. So in IRP, it's immediate road prohibition. So someone's pulled over under the influence, they get a 90-day prohibition from driving on the spot, plus a 30-day impound for the vehicle. So that's what the stats is. And as you can see, we went from 3 to 9. So we made a point of really, again, our presence in Lantzville. We've seen an increase, unfortunately, in impaired drivers that have been identified by us. On a separate note, we had on Saturday, December 6th, it was a National Counterattack Day, like Impaired Driving Enforcement Day, and we pulled over 500 vehicles, and we only found a handful of intoxicated drivers, which is good news. That's obviously it's great to have great stats, but ultimately it's nice to see that the public have finally understand that with what everything that's available as for cab friends ride sharing, so they know that if they drink, you shouldn't drive. You shouldn't be driving. For crime stats now, so we're going to look at so criminal code offenses, which is subdivided. So we've seen a reduction by 14% from 149 to 128. Again, I always kind of compare with the 5-year average. So we've seen a reduction from 156 to 128. So that's an interesting aspect. So person violent crime. When we mention person violent crime, we're talking about assaults, sexual assaults, as an example. So we've gone from 27 to 24, so a reduction of 11%. Property crimes, so that's break and enters, mischief, vandalism. We've seen a reduction of 12% from 93 to 82. And those numbers are year to date, obviously. And the 5-year average is 102. So you can see, again, a significant reduction from the average. Other criminal code offenses, again, a reduction from 29 to 22, which a 5-year average of 21. So 22 is basically within the 5-year average. And so we've seen a reduction of 24%. So for non-criminal code offenses, so CDSA, it's we're looking at possession for the purpose of trafficking. So at this point, this year says a 0 there. Federal statutes, we've gone from 0 to 1, so we only have one following the federal statute. Provincial statutes, when we talk about provincial statutes, we've seen an increase of about 50%. And so 8 to 12, which a 5-year average is 14. It's Liquor Act, Cannabis Act, Trespass Act. So those are the few files we've had here. Like obviously extremely low numbers, but we've seen an increase. Other occurrences, so if you add them up all, we're gone from 530 to 505, so reduction of 5%. And again, it's less than the 5-year average of 541. Criminal traffic offenses, we went from 4 to 9. So criminal traffic offenses, we're looking at driving while prohibited. That's mainly the one that we've seen. And again, it's in correlation with a bit more of a stronger presence in towns for traffic enforcement. So we've seen more violation tickets, more IRPs, and more driving while prohibited charges. So because we've gone from 4 to 9, so it's an increase of 125%. But 9 is within the 5-year average, so we're kind of back of what we've seen historically within Lantzville. Calls for service, we've gone from 796 to 739 so far, so it's a reduction of 7%. 739 is way less than the 5-year average of 842, which is fairly significant considering the low number of calls for service. That's all I have for stats. I'm open the floor to questions. If I can answer the question, I'll ask Inspector Tate if you can help me, and if we can't, we'll get back to you with the answer.
All right. You can always ask Google AI. So that's
Could always ask Copilot to help us.
sure. Through to Councillor Savage, if you wish.
Thank you. Good morning. So,
Good morning, sir.
now I don't know if it's my imagination, but certainly in Lantzville, the homeless problem seems to be dwindling, with the big camps and so on. When I drive down to Nanaimo, I don't see the rampant homeless, in the places where I used to see them. So what's the real story? Is it as bad as ever? Or I think there was about 600 homeless the last stat I saw in Nanaimo. So have you got an update there? What's the latest?
Well, I don't have the update because they did the count last week. So still waiting for the end result of that.
Yeah.
But I know for Nanaimo, what they've been doing is to control like big camps. If they have the CSO, obviously community safety officers, they're quite involved, as well as bylaw. So if they receive any complaints from the public, it goes to bylaw, it goes to the CSOs, and they address the concerns right away. We do get involved once in a while, especially if it's a bigger camp and there's some concerns, the possibility of weapons, a bike unit. Usually the members involved in attending the site and making sure people are removed or sent somewhere else or so. But yeah, as far as final numbers, like I said, it was last week, but you'll see less and less big camps because they don't want to wait if there's 2 or 3 tents. They want to make sure they action that right away. And it's not about punishing people. They're homeless. It's about, linking them with mental health association, BC housing, stuff like that. So trying to have in connection with them and making sure the service provided and helping them to not live that way. So
Yeah, so it slowly seems to be somewhat improving then from your observations, eh?
yeah, for sure. Like
Yeah,
if you drive around, obviously you don't see the big visual, the big camps together. Now, as far as the numbers, like I said, I think it was about 600 last year. I'm assuming it will be probably close to that number again.
Yeah, okay. And then with the speeding, it's just ongoing everywhere, but I've never heard people complain about it so much as in Lantzville these days. So there's 3 types of radar that I've seen. One is the speed radar, the speeding signs, and speed readers. And they're quite small these days. I've seen them advertised anywhere from $300 up to $2,000, so they can be quite inexpensive. The second type is the radar with cameras to capture license plates. And then the third is just a radar to capture data so that, hey, this road's got X number of speeders, and this is the speeds they're going, and so on. So could you comment on those 3, and are any of those 3 effective, like publishing data, speed readers, or license plates, and then you send letters to the offenders, that sort of thing?
So what I can say, well, I can comment obviously on cost and as far as the few that you can see, the one especially the one in the News Bay about Petro Canada, there's one there, a radar, and you can see your speed. I'm not sure of the impact. I think what you see is people see their speed, they slow down for that little portion to see how like they can be within the range, and then I think they just move on to, they forget about it. So that's my opinion. Photo radar, it's not something we do anymore, right? It used to be present. That's what we're talking about, radar, and they were those unmarked vehicles that were parked. They would set up, and then they would read your license plate, and you would get a ticket through the mail. So we don't do that anymore. What's quite popular, and because I sign all those letters, so I know if we do draft a lot of them, is the warning letters. So it's through, and it's for the city of Nanaimo. It's through the volunteer program. So they set up with radar at a so if I've got several complaints at a school zone. We do some enforcement with the police vehicles, but sometimes you just can't be everywhere at the same time. We have volunteers that do set up, and there's a handful of them, and they have a radar, and they just note license plate and the speed if it's over the speed limit by a certain numbers, obviously. And then they go back to the office, they have access to who owns the vehicle, and they draft a letter, which is a warning letter, basically stating your vehicle was seen in school zone ABC doing 55 in a 30-kilometer zone. If you were the driver, be aware this is your warning. If you weren't driving, please have a conversation with whoever was driving your vehicle. Sometimes it could be, your son, your kid, who knows. So those are the. It's quite. We've used it extensively in Nanaimo for sure, but it's all led by volunteers. So that's through a volunteer program. And then obviously we have the laser radar enforcement through the RCMP, which is traffic members or general duty officers that have the training and they can use a laser or just the normal radar and do enforcement. So those are the type of Speed enforcement that we do. Radar is a thing of the past, right? It used to be quite popular 10, 15 years ago. They were everywhere, but because of so many complaints, that the government decided to walk away from that program.
Yeah, great. So at least with the recording data, that would have the advantage of, say, with learning where the worst speeding roads are, then we could phone you guys and get a little patrol there now and again, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
the more data we get, the better it is. Obviously, like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't have unlimited resources, and we want to make sure that we do targeted enforcement. So
Yeah.
if there's issues, obviously schools are always a big problem. But
Yeah.
I know there's specific roads in Lantzville that there's some concerns. So I've had conversation with a traffic unit and making sure they're aware, and they know where to set up. As you can see with the numbers, there's been an increase in enforcement, but it is an ongoing concern, and it doesn't matter where I go, it's always a topic of conversation.
Yeah, I get you. So sorry, I missed that with the volunteers. They actually send letters to the license
Yeah,
plates?
so basically what happens is the volunteers, they read the license plate number, wherever area they were at, the speed register, and then they go to the person in charge of the volunteer program who has access to motor vehicle branch data. They get the owner's address, and then a letter is drafted stating it's a warning letter, basically, on such and such a date, vehicle license plate ABCD
Yeah.
with speed doing 55 in the 30-kilometer zone. If you were the driver, be aware that you could have been charged with section blah 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 of the
Yeah,
Motor
yeah,
Vehicle Act. And
Yeah.
if you're the driver, make sure to have a conversation with whomever was driving your vehicle.
yeah. And these are resident volunteers, or are they just
Yeah.
people off the street and so on? Yeah.
Well, they're volunteers. Like obviously they get trained, special training with. Yeah, they have security clearance, and we probably have 40 to 45 of them.
Oh,
And but it's a City of Nanaimo program, and they have a full-time employee in charge of them
oh,
that
great.
works across the street from the detachment. That's where his office is, and
Yeah,
so yeah, and we use them for speed enforcement, seatbelt enforcement, cell phones, a big one, and other programs as well. It's not all about traffic, but we did Crown the Cruiser, like fundraising for toys and food, and they were part of that as well. So they're quite helpful, and it's a group of like 40 to 45 of them, so which is great.
great, thank you. We might look into that, partnering up with that group. Yep, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Jones? Yeah, oh yeah, go ahead, just come to the microphone, please. Yeah, thank you.
If you just want to encourage your residents, if there's a certain neighborhood, or there's certain maybe residents that, hey, that black truck is always up and down here,
Yeah.
and if they're able to get a license plate number, certainly report that, and we can do some follow-up with that, whether it's a police officer going to the door or a letter, for sure.
Gotcha,
Yeah, so-
okay, great.
Yeah, I was just
Thank
gonna
you.
comment, and I personally have done that, and often when you're reporting, you have to, be willing to testify and so on, that this person did this egregious motor vehicle, infraction, right? So, yeah, so it's, because, obviously you can't tell speed, nobody has a radar in their head, but, when you're getting past, on a solid yellow down Dickinson Road, that's pretty dangerous, and, yeah, so and it really just takes the residents to do that, but I like the program, and hopefully that's something that can be looked at. Councillor Jones?
Thank you. I have questions regarding homeless and also speeding, so I'll just backtrack to the conversation about homeless, if you don't mind. You mentioned that the first step in this sort of action is complaint-driven, with a complaint going, I think, to the RCMP, and then you refer it on to bylaw. Did I understand that correctly?
No, so in Nanaimo, if it's related to homelessness, unless there's obviously violence and weapons incident, they report to the community safety officers. They don't call the RCMP. They call the CSOs.
Okay, so in Lantzville, given the, agreements that we have with your department, what would the correct process be in Lantzville?
So I would suggest get the bylaw involved, and you can call us as well, obviously. We could be in a position to assist. And again, it's depending on the
Interesting.
circumstances, and like there's a million different examples here. But yeah, obviously you don't have CSOs here. If it's a bylaw issue, I would refer to bylaw enforcement first. But if there's any concerns, yeah, you call the RCMP.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was getting at, because there's a gap in our process because we don't have our CMP. So basically, it is possible to call you all, but really to do so if it's a little bit more on the emergency side of things, and otherwise to go through our bylaw complaint system that we have in Lantzville. Would you?
Yeah, I would
say?
agree with
Is that
that. Yeah,
correct?
yeah, that was the big process that would make sense. Is, you know, because we need criminality. If someone's unhoused, it's not a crime. So I think there's always that fine line. We call the RCMP, and to do what? That person probably need assistance. That's when bylaw, and they're probably breaching certain bylaw. And the other aspect is it who owns the land where they're at? Is it private property? Are they trespassing? Is that Ministry of Transportation's property? Like, so there's a lot of factors to consider. I think if it's within the district of Lantzville, a lot of the homework in regards to that could probably be done by bylaw enforcement, and then they can reach out. Especially if there's a decision made, okay, we need to remove the camp, we're gonna have public works to attend, and you only have one bylaw person. You can be organized with us at a certain time, certain day, certain time. We'll send officers here, and it's all organized. It's difficult if it's not planned, and we want this taken care of now. Well, it's not realistic to be able to move people while depending, right, what they have. I think you can see usually there's a lot of belongings. And we've learned that if we ask someone to move along, that every items need to move at the same time, if at all possible. If you just ask someone to go and you leave their stuff behind, they're really reluctant to go. They're afraid of tent being stolen and sleeping bags and their belongings. You may feel that it's not worth much to you, but to them it's everything, and we need to be aware of that and cognizant of that. So that's a bit of a, it's not a black and white answer. I think we can work in partnership in regards of depending on the concern. But obviously someone walked by a camp and then there's a comment about there's a knife, there's a gun, like it's obviously then it's different. Then it's us, and you call the RCMP right away, and we'll address it that way.
Thank you. That's very helpful, because more often on private land or other land, not district land here. And it sounds like you have some systems in place in Nanaimo for response at the RCMP level, and also for helping these people move on to a better location, a better place for them. I'm not sure, our director of planning could certainly comment, but I'm not sure that we have that personnel or expertise here in Lantzville. So,
Yeah, for sure. Like obviously the city is Nanaimo, there's so much support. Like it's just a bigger community. So so obviously to keep that in mind when it's time to address a concern like that, like what's available, what's the support, like what public works can do, it cannot do, right? So, and yeah, to your point, like you know, like you have someone in your backyard, it's a bit of a different approach, right? And some people are more like, I want them gone now. Some are more like understanding, and they'll be okay, like as long as this is taken care of in the next couple of days. But obviously we'll address it, and we'll have a conversation with the complainant and see what cannot be done.
good. And it sounds like some partnerships could be explored between you and our staff to assist with the resources that you have, and maybe even the training that your people have when these issues go to.
Yeah, no,
from you
absolutely.
to
We
that
have like,
next stage.
yeah, absolutely. We have officers like part of our bike unit that they've been doing for years. So if there's any questions about maybe training, how to approach, like problem solving, please reach out, and we'll make sure. I have a couple officers in mind that I've been doing it for years. They're great to deal with. They know exactly how to deal with, how to address the concerns, and they like nuisance properties, that kind of stuff. So
Thank you. I'm sure that's been noted by our director of planning. He's here. Moving on to speeding. You mentioned that you're aware of the key areas in Lantzville where we receive frequent speeding complaints. So I just wanted to go through those. There's one that I'm not sure is on your radar. Superior Road, Lantzville Road, Dickinson Road,
He's just gonna write that down.
Olds Road, and the one that I'm not sure is on your radar is Northwind Drive.
No.
Yeah, the reason is there's a lot of traffic that needs to go to the Snanawa's healthcare facility and also their school, and that is the route used. So in addition to the local traffic and speeding complaints, there's just a large increase in volume on that road. And Northwind Road is accessed by Superior Road. So to a certain extent, Superior Road catches that, but without the specificity. The other thing is, you had a nice exchange with Councillor Savage answering some questions about measures that can be taken to address speeding. So I was interested to hear that the photo radar program is basically put aside at this time, that the speed radar programs, even the ones that capture license plates, have limited effectiveness in your, from your data collection, correct? Did I
Yeah,
understand
so
that
I don't
correctly?
want to confuse here, like the photo radar, like in the news bay that you see with a speed, it doesn't catch license plate.
Yeah.
You
some-
just see your speed, that's it.
And then you talked about a volunteer program where people are trained and can take a license plate and, I guess, capture speed as well. Interesting program, for sure, and I think that's something that this council might be interested in exploring further, because we really need to do something and want to do something about the speeding problems in Lantzville, and so far, nothing has worked. So before I come back to that volunteer program that I have questions on, there are other things that can be done, speed bumps, for example, pinching of roads, for example. Can you comment on those other measures and the relative effectiveness of them?
Well, I'm no expert, obviously, in regards to that kind of, like how to lay roads and help with speeding. I know speed bumps is always an effective tools. We've had some concerns in the 911 regards of the impact on emergency vehicles, aka the fire trucks, especially because of the weight. So it depends on the type of speed bumps. Like some, I think you've noticed, and then we see them more and more, and it's kind of, you see that in Europe quite a bit, is it's elevated pedestrian crossing. So it's not really a speed bump because it's
It's a
wider.
speed hump, I think it's called.
Basically, yeah, and we see that quite a bit in Europe, and it's been quite effective. I know they've been pretty pleased with that in Nanaimo. Speed bump obviously is a shorter, and so it does reduce speed. There's no doubt. I think the only thing you have to keep in mind is concerns about impact on emergency vehicles. Not so much for police, but I know for heavier vehicles, it's been a concern. Same thing with the discuss about kind of like road and kind of like if it's wider, kind of slimming down a bit, so there's less space. Again, it's been a concern for wider vehicles that may not be fit or it may be difficult for them to go through. So it slows down the traffic for sure. But so it's always to keep in mind that sometimes a good idea can lead to other problems. And there's a lot of expertise out there. Like I'm no expert, but if there's anyone that I know, we have someone in for the city of Nanaimo with the department that just deal with transportation that could probably provide a little bit more of expert opinion in regards to that, and they present on a regular basis at the Public Safety Committee in Nanaimo. I know they had a big presentation in regards to all those aspects I just mentioned about pedestrian crossing and speed bumps.
Thank you. We should look at that and just familiarize ourselves with it. With the speed humps, the ones that have the flat area, I had thought those were only used where there's a pedestrian crossing, and that the flat bit was to allow for, people to walk. It sounds like I'm wrong about that. It's also used just on roads where there's no pedestrian crossing?
No, you're right. It's so far what I've seen is with pedestrian.
Thank you. Okay. How the last one on speeding is effectiveness of going to a 30-kilometer speed limit throughout a community. So where does that fall in terms of helping to change people's, you know, to change people's driving habits? So all these things, basically, none of them work completely because people are so used to putting their, foot on the gas pedal. But all of them presumably do a little something. What, in your experience, does a 30-kilometer zone do to help with speeding?
Well, the opinion you're going to get, it's not the RCMP opinion, it's Eric's, Superintendent Rachette's opinion here. I have concerns in regards to that because I think there's going to be an expectation from the public that we're going to enforce that, that we're available to enforce 30 kilometers per hour zones all across the city district of Lantzville, and it's not realistic. Is it going to change driving habit? I don't really think so. I think people would just get really annoyed and upset about it. And is that really where the community wants to go? Obviously, it's up to elected officials to make those decisions. But I think the problem is, next thing you know, we're going to get a lot of complaints of people going 50 in a 30 zone, and we will not be able to provide the enforcement that's probably going to be expected from the public.
Okay, thank you. Just a little bit more, if you don't mind, Mayor Swain. Okay, thank you. So two things. When the road is narrowed, you mentioned the problem with the larger vehicles. If you don't mind, I'd like to tag on to that. The problem with active transportation with bikes that use the space to the right of the white line for cycling. When you pinch the road narrow, that space is gone. So now they have to either merge in with the traffic, in which case the traffic better slow down, or an alternate route needs to be provided. So just to add that level of complexity. And then just the volunteer program, interesting thing, I was out in the woods hiking the other day. My car was parked and I received a text message. You have been clocked at 47 kilometers an hour in a school zone. Interesting, so there's some spam going around on that one, but it sounds like that may have come through the volunteer program. I don't know. It sounds like normally a letter's written, but this was a spam text message. So it'll be interesting. Maybe that will come up more with you, maybe not. I think as a council, I know I'd like to look more into the volunteers, but I'll move on now if I need to. No, I've got it all. So with the volunteer program, is that something that a community like Lantzville can set up in partnership with you all with respect to the training of the person to manage volunteers? So then we can get a volunteer program going here in Lantzville to do this speeding checks and license plates that end up going with a letter to the resident, a warning?
So what I could do is I could put you in contact with our volunteer, the full-time employee director. That's his role to train the volunteers, select the volunteers. Obviously, a lot of training is provided by us. Some of the training is provided by him. But yeah, for sure, we'll be more than happy to get part of that. And so,
thank you very much. Appreciate all your answers.
thank you.
All right, lots of good information and a lot of wise words around some of the problems that have been identified. So I really appreciate your time this morning, and yeah, and hopefully, I don't know if you have any closing remarks or.
No, thank you
No?
very much for the
Okay.
invite. And obviously, if there's any questions, I have my contact information downstairs, and feel free to reach out. Let's just not wait 6, 7, 8 months if it's an ongoing concern, because it just builds up and then it becomes what could be a small problem becomes a big problem. I'd like to deal with stuff when it's a small problem, if at all possible.
For sure.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Oops, I've lost my agenda. Where did it go? There we are. Thought I lost my agenda on this little rinky-dink iPad. So through to Chief Urquhart, you're up next for the fire rescue update.
Thank you. Just a quick update for Lantzville Fire for you. We're currently sitting at 33 members, including 5 new recruits. In 2025, we've taken on 10 new members into the department. We lost some throughout the year just due to living circumstances and different job opportunities. But we are fully staffed. In fact, we're a little over our normal number. We usually like to sit around 30, and we're sitting at 33, so that's actually a good spot for us. And continuously, week after week, we're getting people literally banging down the door wanting to become a on-call firefighter. So that's a really good problem to have here in Lantzville. So as far as incidents go, we're sitting at 172 calls for 2025, which is down 24 calls from last year. At this time, we were at 196. However, in saying that, the severity of our calls this year, we've seen increase quite a bit. We've had a lot more fire activity and a few more serious crashes than we've had in the past few years. So the severity has definitely stepped up in 2025. As far as training goes for the department, regularly weekly training is done Thursday nights on an ongoing basis. Some outside training that members have gone through this year, and we've actually put a lot of effort into sending our people out to do training and bring some new stuff back to the department. Just to list some of it here is the NFPA 1001, which is the basic firefighter skills training required to be a firefighter in the province of British Columbia, hazmat training, fire officer 1 and 2 programs, fire scene management, fire safety officer, fire service instructor, fire smart training, first responder instructors, wildfire training, live fire training. And we also got together with Fortis and did a liquefied natural gas training, which is something we hadn't seen here before, and it's pretty new to us here really on the island as far as it moving up and down. Liquefied natural gas is moving through Lantzville twice a week, and it does pose a great concern should something happen with it. So it was pretty exciting to be able to get in with them and get a better understanding of how it works and actually see it burning and the ways that we can put it out. We've completed the training structure at the Nanoose fire station, so we now have a place that we can go and do our training in a building. So that's all done and ready to go. The other thing we're working on is a partnership with District 68. So basically the fire departments to our north and the city of Nanaimo to come together and do a group exercise on initially, it's going to be a wildfire type event, so we can all sort of meet the players before the event occurs and get a better understanding of what all of us bring to the table. This is something we've been working on for probably the last year. We've been meeting, coming up with what this is going to look like, and we're hoping to run a tabletop in February and then run an actual boots on the ground exercise in April. And then this will be something that continues on through over the years, just to make sure that our skills are sharp and we all know who the players in the game are at the time. Some projects that we did in 2025 was a replacement project of fire hose, which is now complete. A replacement project on nozzles, which is complete. We've replaced all our rescue tools, so the jaws of life have all been replaced. We've gone away from gas-powered hydraulic tools to electric tools. We're nearly, I would say we're probably 85% electric now. Even our chainsaws and all that kind of stuff has all gone to electric as well. For us, the beauty of it is we've switched everything into a Milwaukee system, which means we can use one battery for pretty much all our tools. There's no mix and match anymore. It's all pretty standardized. So we're pretty excited to get away from the fuel equipment, simply because we just have so much trouble with the fact that it just doesn't get used enough to run the way we'd like it to run. So the electric stuff is pull the trigger and away you go. So we're pretty happy to have that all done. The other thing was the reflective address program. Again, was well received by the community this year. We've put out all the reflective address programs for 2025. As you've seen, it's in the budget for next year, as well as we're working with the Regional District of Nanaimo as part of the Next Gen 911 grant to apply to grant fund. I believe it's up to $45,000 on the next round. So I think that could be pretty close to actually finishing out the program for us for the whole community. So fire safety projects for 2025. We spent a lot of time at the Seaview School this year. Once a month, we go over there and complete a fire drill with them, do fire safety talks with the children, and just spend quite a bit of time over there, a lot more than we did in the past. We held the annual fire department open house, which once again was really well attended. You know, at no time was there not a bazillion people walking through the area, so that was good and exciting for us. The Minetown Days event, we participated in community fire smart training. We spent some time going out into individual communities and setting up to put some fire smart information out there. And we hope to do that again this year. And we hope to get a whole bunch more people out. It was a little bit not well received as far as having people participate with us. So hopefully we can get a little bit better information out there for them for 2026 and really get that rolling. Many children's groups have come through the fire hall throughout the year. It seems like monthly or almost weekly at some points people want to tour through the station, so that's a great thing. A lot of time again at the Nanoose First Nation Child Care Center doing fire prevention with them. We have scheduled dates set up as well with the Orca Lalem Society Treatment Center to do fire drills and talks with their groups as they come through. And then we spent some time as well with the Aspen Grove School with their community events that they've put on. And then lastly, we're kind of just closing out the year here, taking care of the last few little things to tidy up the station and the equipment. The membership, as you saw there last Saturday, had the Santa Parade, which we were super happy to see how many people came out to see the parade go by, and the amount of people that were at Huddlestone Park was, I think, more than ever. I think we're really pushing and building an event that's going to turn into something big here as we move along. So that's super exciting. And then they've collected the food from the food drive, and now they're just packaging all that stuff up and getting ready to send that out as well. So thank you.
Great. Thank you for your very comprehensive review of the year. Yeah, and thank you for all, you and your department for everything you do for the community. It's amazing. And just recently, I volunteered my house for a drill for the ladder truck, and the fire department likes to run different scenarios and make sure that their attack or their approach is fitting for the scenario and troubleshoot any problems that come from it. So I was happy to lend my house, and some of the members after the fact, they appreciated not stepping in dog poop. they really did appreciate that. So anyways, your efforts are definitely noted. Councillor Jones.
Well, I knew you were busy. Now I know you're more than busy. That's really nice to hear that report. Thank you. There's some things there I wasn't even aware of. You mentioned liquid natural gas going through Lantzville. I'm wondering if you could just comment on that. Is this just tankers moving along the highway, or is there a stop and park rest of tankers maybe up in the industrial area there?
No, so they're just moving through the community. They go from Hayes Mountain in Cassidy, and they're going to the Little River Ferry for Powell River. So twice a week, the ferry gets refueled, and that truck runs through here in the evening, carrying that product for them.
Thank you.
Additional questions, Councillor Savage?
Yeah, so with the ladder truck, Chief, how is that working out? I know it's older, but is it running fine and so on?
Yeah, so far we've had good luck with it. We've updated all the things on it that we could to kind of modernize it and put new equipment on it. So far we've had pretty good success with it. There are a few spots for sure in Lantzville that that style of truck has a bit of an issue setting up. In front of Mayor Swain's home was one of the tough spots that we couldn't make it work there in the position that it was in. We could have repositioned it and done something different with it for sure, but getting to know some of those areas is certainly important. The other one that we run into is you don't realize how many power lines are actually in the sky in Lantzville until you want to set a ladder truck up in front of them. So we're definitely spending some time doing some pre-planning to ensure that we know where that truck fits in each of these areas. So otherwise the truck itself is running fine. It was recertified in March, I believe, of last year and passed through with flying colors, and I expect we'll get the same again this year.
Okay, and how many stories tall could it reach?
Well, the truck is 75 feet in height. With the offset, we do lose quite a bit of reach in that truck. So it really depends where the truck is able to get to a building. What I would say is that if you had a 4-story structure and you were able to get close enough to it to get that reach, your 4 stories would max that truck out. Anything over that would require assistance from another department. And even at that, the City of Nanaimo's trucks are only 25 feet longer. And it really comes down to how close that truck can get to the building.
Yeah, okay, and how many years of life would you say it has in it? Another 10 perhaps, that sort of thing? Or?
When I originally pitched it to council, I pitched it as a 5-year truck. I'm going to stick with that number, and if we get 10 years out of it, then we're doing super well. You know, it's hard to say what the lifespan of the truck is. As long as the ladder continues to pass, and we don't build skyscrapers, we're probably okay with where we're sitting now.
Yeah, so with that, I know the bigger cities and so on, they have to have them a little more skookum because they do a lot more business with it and so on, as it were. So is it possible now to reach out to some of these towns that where one might be coming up in 5-7 years that you could put in your dibs now on it? Or?
We definitely keep our ear out for that to see what's moving out there, and that definitely does happen. Fire departments do. More and more, we're finding them selling them a little bit earlier to try and recruit some of the funds of those trucks just because of the price of where they're at now to kind of offset the cost of the overall truck. So we are seeing them come available at 15 years opposed to 20 and 25 years. So we're definitely watching for that.
Yeah, that's great. And last one, please, is with the non-toxic jackets. It's a safety issue, of course, for the firemen that wear them. How did that work out? Did you go with the 2-year program, 1 year? Or?
So, not to throw anybody under the bus, but somewhere down the line, the funding for that program was not put into the taxation bylaw, I believe it was. Could be speaking out of term as to what the exact wording of that was. So you're going to actually see that be coming forward in this 2026 budget cycle. The gear has been picked, the gear has been measured. We just need to get that approval in this budget cycle, and we will order it all at once.
Oh, that's too bad, because I remember last year's budget, we offered the option of doing all the coats in the first year, not waiting over 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad. Boy, oh boy. Thank you.
Oh, you had a follow-up? Go ahead, Councillor Jones.
With the potential future long-term care facility at 6 stories, what would the response plan look like for that in the event of a fire?
Currently, initial callouts to that building would be Lantzville local fire protection would manage it. If there was an actual working fire in that building, that would be upgraded immediately to an automatic aid situation, which would bring us Nanoose, East Wellington, and then I think based on the size of the building, we would have to add in the City of Nanaimo for a ladder truck as well.
Thank you. So Nanoose, do they have a ladder truck that goes over 4 stories?
No, they
And-
don't.
and
No.
So is Nanaimo the only community that does, I take it?
In our agreements, Nanaimo has 2 trucks over 100. Parksville has a 100-foot, and Qualicum Beach has a 100-foot as well. So all those are at
all
our
those.
disposal should we need them.
Thank you.
Okay. Again, thank you for your update. Much appreciated. As always, moving on to 8C. So we have bylaw enforcement update. So Director Robinson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll try to keep this brief. In 2024, we had 47 bylaw enforcement complaints, and so far this year we've had 43. The vast majority of our bylaw enforcement files are related to the Good Neighbor bylaw, which Council will recall includes everything from noise complaints to messy yards to homelessness issues. We have noted an increase in homelessness kind of encampment situations, not the larger encampments, but, 2 or 3 tent kind of situations, as the superintendent noted. And building bylaw enforcement. So we've had several people who've started construction without permits and whose neighbors have reported that to us. And so we've been dealing with an increase in those files as well. Just speaking to the homelessness issue, we've had great success working with the Ministry of Community Services social workers. It is, as the superintendent also noted, homelessness is not a crime. So we try to engage with the social workers to try to connect those folks who are experiencing homelessness with the resources that they need to transition out of that situation. And that's been very successful in the majority of the circumstances. The RCMP detachment has been very helpful when our bylaw officer has had to ask them to attend and to keep the peace capacity whenever attending those situations. We have had, so we do have great relationships with the local social workers and with the RCMP. To be frank, we do not have a good relationship with the Ministry of Transportation. They do not return their phone calls. They do not return their emails. And so when we have an encampment along Ministry of Transportation right of way or on private titled land that is owned by the Ministry of Transportation, we've been reaching out to them to assist us and have gotten very little response. So if I can communicate that to council for whatever advocacy work you can do, is that the Ministry of Transportation has been dropping the ball, just to be absolutely frank with you. It's a source of great frustration for myself and our bylaw officer, even trying to get them to attend to clean up, because it's, as the superintendent also noted, there's an issue with when they're on a highways right of way, and we want to help them to move along. We attend with social services. We try an educational approach, but when it is time to move them along, we need highways there to help us with the cleanup, and they've frankly just been refusing to do that. So it's been exceedingly difficult to get certain individuals to move on from highways lands. And highways has been aware of this. We've escalated it, and we had a little bit of an early response early in the spring. But the last couple of calls we've made, last couple of emails I've made, all the way up to like the supervisor for Vancouver Island, no response. So whatever work that council can do on the political side, advocate for the community, will be very helpful, because staff are hitting our heads against a brick wall on the highways piece. That's my little rant on the highways department. Otherwise, we have one officer who is part-time, as council is aware, so it's funded for 3 days a week. Our building inspector attends inspections on Thursday. I know this isn't about building, but he's also in kind of an enforcement capacity. And I'm also a bylaw enforcement officer, so I can kind of fill in the gaps as needed. We're managing caseloads right now as it is complaint-based. We did get a little bit overwhelmed in the summer with a number of watering restrictions complaints. So there were quite a few watering restrictions complaints. The approach there is always educational. So encouraging people to turn off their lawn watering and listen, and giving them information about lawn watering hours. So there was quite a bit of that, an increase in that this summer. Seems like folks were tuned into the restrictions and were filing more complaints. So we've been assisting the Public Works Department in addressing those situations. I think that's it for me at this time. Happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you for your summary. Through to Councilor Jones.
Yes, just a quick question. With the lawn sprinkling in the summer, I don't know why, if it's because people want green lawns or if it's because they think that if there's a fire, their home will be better protected if they have a green lawn. I have no idea. But I have heard, and this might be for you, Director Robinson or Chief Ruckus, that putting a sprinkler on top of your roof is one of the most helpful things, because hot ash lands on roofs and the roofs get on fire. So I'd like to know if that is correct, and if so, is it as simple as putting a sprinkler on your roof with a hose and dropping it down by your hose bib on the outside, or how is it done?
Through the chair to the councillor, 100% increase in the humidity around your home during a wildfire event will drastically reduce the risk of that home burning. It's exactly what they do when a wildfire is coming in sprinkler protection specialists go out there and actually install sprinklers on homes for that reason.
Councillor Savage? Put your hand up. Yeah, I think with the water use, in certain areas is just just blatant overuse. And it's not necessarily just related to just lawns. It's just overuse and just ignoring the water restrictions. But maybe through Director Robinson, is that correct?
Yeah, Your Worship, I think it's a combination of things. It's overuse and overconsumption, but there's also still a number of people who insist upon having a green lawn in August. It's odd to me. I know I grew up with, the lawn dies every summer, and then it comes back in the fall when the rain returns. So, but there are quite a few people here who insist upon keeping it green, but we've seen an increase in their neighbors kind of saying, hey, you really shouldn't be doing that, and letting the district know about it.
Okay. Councillor Jones?
Yes, maybe we can take advantage of that little problem with some education in the community update and have a brown lawn competition.
All right, nothing further. Again, thank you for your update. At this point, through to council number 9 on the agenda. It's just a status of committee recommendations to councils. There's nothing, unfinished business 10, nothing, new business, nothing, late items, public clarification. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Councillor Jones.
Yes, sorry, point of information. We put some things in front of 3. I guess that's just correspondence. I thought we were going to be discussing that correspondence, and now I think you probably asked, and I just didn't realize that that was the time, so. Is it possible to discuss one of these complaints in particular that are on 3B? 3B it would be, or is that ship sailed?
Well, I think it's more for information.
That's fine, I can
Yeah.
follow up at the council
Okay,
level
sure.
with
Yeah,
that
that'd probably be
information.
And then public clarification, we have nobody remotely registered at this time, I'm assuming. No, okay. And nobody joined us in the gallery, so again, we made it through the agenda, so I declare the meeting adjourned. And thank you for everybody for attending and informing us and the community.